Hey, what is up YouTube? Welcome back. I am Haidar and today I wanted to talk to you about debt. Why is it really bad and how can you actually take control of it and just make it vanish and disappear, right? So let's start with debt. Why is debt so really bad for your own wealth, right? It reduces wealth. Now, before you say something, okay, wealth is really not what you think. Majority of people mix wealth with being rich or being wealthy as being a rich person. It's really not. Being a rich person is a rich person, and that is a subjective opinion because some people view as rich person that has multi-million dollars as rich person, but some people view rich person as somebody that being independent financially and doesn't rely to have a job and they don't have to work for the rest of their life. So whatever you think of that, you determine that. But back to wealth. So wealth, it's extremely important to understand because what wealth does to you is your money, your net worth, right? So even if you have $10 in your pocket right now, and it's all what you have, and you have absolutely no debt, you have no mortgage, you have no housing, you have no property, you have no car to pay, anything, no debt at all, zero, no student loan, nothing. Guess what? Your net worth, your wealth is actually $10 plus $10 right now, right? Because there could be multimillionaires, and there's a lot of good examples of that have a positive net worth, but they're in debt and negative. And I'm not gonna get into a lot of it right now. The most important thing to understand that wealth is extremely important for individual, and no, you don't have to be rich to be wealthy. So why is debt extremely bad? So debt eats down from your wealth. How does it do that? Well, let's say I get $1,000 every month comes in my pocket, right? And then I have $500 that I have to pay in credit cards and student loans and mortgage. Would be very cheap, wouldn't it be? But for easy example, so that's 50%. 50% of my wealth, my $1,000 that comes to me every month goes, which is $500, to paying off my debt. So I'm now positive 500 instead of 1,000, right? So now let's take it up a notch a little bit. Where like, unfortunately, a lot of people that don't know anything about finance and they have really bad habit of spending, which by the way, that was me like 3-4 years ago. So if you do have negative cash flow, don't worry, I got your back and I'll show you the way I've done it so you can get out of it as well. So if you have the $500, let's step it up a notch. Now it's $1,500. Is your spending, right? You only make $1,000. Well, now you're in debt because you're negative 500 more, so your net worth is negative 500. What does that mean? It means you have to figure out a way you can get extra 500 to pay your bills, or guess what? You are gonna lose something, right? So what a lot of people do, they start trying to get another loan to pay off that 500, to pay off that 500, to pay off that 500. But what don't realize is that, remember that $500 that we got, that was your debt that was coming in monthly basis? Well, now it's 600, 700, 800, 900, because as you add more loans, the debt rises and rises every month. So you get in a deeper hole, right? To initially, I've had a couple of friends where literally they were working 2 full-time jobs just because they wanted to pay their bills, to keep the house open and not lose their house, which is insane. Can you imagine working 80 hours a week just because you want to pay your debt off, but you keep on taking loans out and you have so many credit cards, so many student loans and so many like mortgages and all that stuff, car and all that stuff that you cannot stop. And if the minute you stop, you're stressed out. That is insane, right? So now that we know how debt occurs, it occurs by negative cash flow. And cash flow in general is what you make versus how much you spent, what you have left. So if you spend more than what you make, you have negative cash flow. If you are spending less than what you make, you'll have positive cash flow. So negative cash flow creates debt. So how can you fight that? How can you counter that, right? It's simple and easy, but applying it and self-discipline and changing the habit takes progress. So remember that, right? So you gotta be patient, you gotta be consistent. So start using the snowball effect. So a little bit about snowball effect is that you can do it 2 ways. You can either take the most debt that has the highest interest and then start paying that off, or you can do the opposite where you can start off with paying off the least amount of debt regardless of what the interest is. And the whole idea is that if I have 5 different credit cards and I owe $100 on each, the total is $500. and let's say the minimum payment is 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. So that's $50 a month. I can pay my minimum, but I want to allocate more. So I want to pay $90 on one, pay minimum on the rest of them. So now I'm eliminating one of the 5 credit cards, and now I only have 4 credit cards. And I'm doing bam. So what I'm doing is I'm saving $10, $20, $30, $40. And that's what's the snowball effect. It's basically when you pay off your smallest amount of debt first, you free up that little minimum payment, and you can use that minimum payment to pay out the second one. Free that up, pay out the third one. Free that up, pay out the fourth one, right? Don't be spreading out everything. That doesn't mean you should not pay the minimum payment. The minimum payment you have to do. I cannot stress this enough, because if you don't, you're gonna be charged with fees, late fees, and all that stuff. You don't want that. You don't want that at all, right? So that's one of the ways you can do that. Another way you can actually minimize your debt and get better at it and not achieving it is changing the habit of spending, right? Remember the cash flow example that I've said earlier is that you want to make sure that you are not spending more than what you are making. How do you do that? Hadar, please tell me, how do you do that? I'll tell you what. Get a budget sheet, okay? I know it's painful. I know nobody wants to do it. I know it's scary, and I know a lot of people like, man, now I have to use some math. Honestly, I'm gonna do 2 things. I am gonna attach the Snowball template in my link in the description below, and I'm also gonna do a budget expense sheet for you guys, and I'll put it in my description below as well. So all you have to do is click and download the links. That should help you out dramatically. So you would wanna open that up. The Snowball template will probably give you the calculations how much would be the best way to do what in like that saves you the most interest. And then the budget sheet is gonna help you clarify. You wanna include fixed and variable costs. And if you don't know what fixed and variable costs are, fixed costs are some things that you cannot really get rid of. You have to pay. For example, if you have your car that you're renting, or you are leasing, or you are financing, that's something that you have to do or pay just because you're going from point A to point B. If you have your house, you have rent, mortgage or rent, that's fixed costs, electricity, all of that stuff. Variable costs, some things that you have but you don't really need to pay or don't need to have. So some things like cable, right? Cell phone plan, right? Gym membership, all that stuff. These things are like variable. Your life does not really depend on them. So these things you can cut off or reduce. So it's very important to get the budget sheet coming up with your fixed expenses and your variable expenses, just because it'll help you open your eyes to what things they should tweak around. So if you find yourself in a negative cash flow, you want to start cutting down on expenses. I know it hurts and all that, but trust me, you're going to be living so much better when you cut down on your expenses, and you have to less worry about when you're going to pay them and how much hours you're going to have to work on a daily basis. Trust me on that. I've been there, done that, and I really want you to guys get out of that. I really do want that, because I was in a really bad spot and it was pretty stressful, and I hate to have somebody go through what I had to go through as well. So do that, right? And the final way that I want to share with you guys is the spending habit that I talked about. Your goal of this objective, this video, is like to find out how much you're spending, but also get positive cash flow. Positive cash flow. That should be your mindset at this point, right? That's your aim, that's your goal, that's what you want to achieve. Even if it's $1, right? That is $1 more than what you've earned that's added to your wealth. It's a good start. So don't get really down if you're not getting a lot of cash flow or positive cash flow in the beginning. Everything takes time, everything takes progress, and no, it's not too late for you. I don't care what age you are, it's never too late. You can do it, right? So what you want to do is you want to come to the conclusion, hey, do I really want to spend $150 for cable when I can have Netflix for $8 or $10 a month, right? Do I really have to spend $100 for cell phone plan when I can get something for $50, right? Do I have to pay membership for 20 or 30 bucks a month where I could just work out, run outside on the street, right? See, your mindset is what controls your motivation. Everything else around you is just convenient. When you go to the gym, it's not because you cannot work out outside of the gym. It's because you feel motivated to go to the gym just because you see other people are working out. So you feel motivated to work out as well. But if you train your mind to actually have that idea of motivation within yourself to actually go work out, you don't need to spend the extra money. You can keep that in your pocket. You can peek that and you can travel with it if you save up the money, right? So stop spending too much money on eating outside. Stop spending too much money on entertainment. Like, all this stuff is great to have, but if you're doing it every day, don't do that, right? If you're in a financial situation, trust me, yes, it sucks that you have to sacrifice, but you know what sucks even more? If you're gonna continue on working and stressing yourself out on a daily basis just because you can barely get your head above water. That's what more stressful. So you have to sacrifice a little bit for your better good to yourself in the long term, right? So trust me, when you do that, get control of how much you're spending and get an understanding of what is cash flow and how to get positive cash flow and start paying off your debt. You're gonna be 10 times better. You're gonna feel a lot better and you're gonna be a lot happier, a lot less stressed. And then you're gonna hit this like button for this video so you can share or help me out to share this information with other people because of the YouTube algorithm. But honestly, guys, I really hope I helped you out today, and I'm really looking forward to give more content out. If you have some particular questions in regards to clearing out debt, comment below so we can share the knowledge with everybody. And I hope to see you guys soon. Take care, and I'll see you guys later.